Hey everyone, and welcome back to Manifesting with Amber. We are on the back trail again. It's a beautiful day. It was raining earlier. Now the sun's out and it is just the perfect time to go for a walk and chat a little bit, share my thoughts with you all. So I have a big life update. I just started a new relationship. And oh my goodness, it has been so wonderful being able to connect with my partner and to learn more about myself in the process. And I know he's learning a lot about himself as well. So it's really great, and something that has been such a nice surprise as well is our strong communication. This is really the first relationship I've ever had that has this level of communication. And that's what this video is about. It's about how do you build strong communication with your partner. And it can be challenging sometimes because, especially communicating about things that are a little bit difficult to talk about, sometimes we can feel very vulnerable. We can be afraid of being judged. And that's what I used to experience in my other relationships. I didn't really feel like it was safe to be myself. Because I had not done the inner work yet. I had not done the inner work to create a safe place for myself, and I didn't know how to attract partners that did know how to communicate effectively with me, because I wasn't even really communicating effectively with myself. So over time, I've built that strong communication with myself and paying attention to my needs and what I really want. And that's why I called in this amazing man who knows how to properly communicate with me and listen to me. So, getting back to the part about having those difficult conversations, especially early on when you're first dating someone, sometimes you just want to just enjoy each other, experience that honeymoon phase. You don't want to have to talk about these uncomfortable conversations. But what I discovered is when you are able to talk about the stuff with your partner early on, it only makes your bond stronger, and then you're not having to pick up the pieces way later in your relationship. If you tackle these things early on, now you understand each other better, and now you can kind of get an idea of how does this person communicate, and are they respecting you and your values? So something that came up for my partner and I was, and by the way, we've only been dating for a week, so we're just diving right in here, diving into the deep end. So last week when we were chatting, something that came up for my boyfriend and I was the topic of jealousy. Now, this is a pretty uncomfortable topic to discuss if you've ever had to talk about this with someone, because who likes to feel jealous? And also, it's hard to admit. I think I was telling my boyfriend, I think this is kind of the first time that I was actually willing to admit that jealousy is something that I've been experiencing. And I felt so safe to tell my partner this. I did not feel that safe telling my previous partners about this emotion, but with my partner, I felt, and it was essential to discuss it as well, because that's such a powerful emotion, and it can really hinder your connection with your partner. So what happened was, basically my partner has a close friend who's a woman, And when he asked me how I felt about him hanging out with her every now and again, I immediately felt triggered. And I thought, okay, my belief on being triggered is if you're triggered by something, that means that's an area to work on. Because if you are so reactive to things that are going on in your life, that thing is controlling you. That thing is actually controlling your life, and it's controlling your mood and everything. And I like to be in control of my emotions. I like to decide if something is going to ruin my day or not, or something's going to bother me that much. So I and my partner could tell. We're so connected. He could tell. I'm not that great at hiding my emotions anyway, but he could tell I was uncomfortable. And that's when I told him, you know, I've had this thing with jealousy within me. I've felt this before, and it's something that I don't enjoy feeling, but it's also something I would like to overcome. I would like to feel more confident in myself. And also, it's about trusting yourself and trusting your partner. How wonderful is it to trust your partner so much that it doesn't really matter who they're spending time with, what they're doing. You don't have to keep tabs on them because there's that full sense of trust there. So my partner and I talked about it. We talked about why I was feeling that emotion, and he even said that if I really wasn't comfortable, maybe I would like to meet his friend first, and then maybe even they didn't need to spend time one-on-one. Maybe they could just do phone calls. We were trying to find a compromise that we both liked. I said, I want to take some time to think about this, and he was like, fine. He was like, that's good. You just take your time. He wasn't in a rush. He's extremely patient, and that's the other thing I really love about him. And I mean, I can make a whole other video talking about all the positive traits I really love about my boyfriend, but I did take some time to think about it, and I realized that it actually didn't even make sense for me to try to control the situation. And it actually, when I really thought about it, it doesn't have anything to do with me. The people he spends time with and what he's doing with his time doesn't have anything to do with our relationship. And in fact, I thought, you know, it's wonderful that he is continuing to maintain his connections with his friends, even though we're dating now. Like, that's really healthy. I started looking at it that way. And so I told him the next day, I've thought about it, and I realized, you know, you just go do your thing. You just go spend time with your friends, and I'm good with it. And I realized that I truly was good with it. And not that that feeling had completely dissipated, that feeling of jealousy, but I was feeling, especially since he was holding me in a place of so much love. He was not judging me. He was not making me feel bad for having those emotions. He just listened to me when we talked about it, and again, he was working with me to find a compromise that was going to be beneficial for both of us. So that's what I'm working through feeling more confident within me, and knowing that the kind of man I attract into my life is so kind to me. He cares a lot about me, and he's faithful and trustworthy, and that is how I see my experience. That's what I want to experience. So that was a really big thing for us to communicate about. So getting back to the idea of communication, I think it is so important to pick a partner that you feel safe to share your emotions with. I think the communication is even stronger when you hold each other in that place where it's okay. It's okay to show these sides of you that you are still working on. You don't, sometimes when we get into a new relationship, we think that we have to be all happy and we have to be all just showing our best selves, being on our best behavior. But you know, the real test comes when you show all of you to your partner, when you are willing to show the sides that are happy and full of love, but then also showing the more vulnerable side of you and sharing your fears and things that you're working on. And if they respect you, and if they are a good listener, they're willing to hear your side, and they want to get to know you better, then you've hit gold. And the other piece of this is, you may be wondering, how do you know if someone is going to be a good communicator in a relationship? And for my boyfriend and I, we actually knew each other for 1.5 years before we started dating. So I got to see him in all different kinds of situations. I got to see him at dance, and we would spend time one-on-one. We would meet up to practice dancing and also to just have tea and to chat. And I really got to know his character over time as friends. And then we've also just seen each other grow and evolve over the last 1.5 years. And I've seen my boyfriend become more centered, more grounded, and I think he's seen the same for me. So the communication was kind of already there for us. We already were really good with communicating with each other before. But as far as figuring out if someone is going to be good with communication, I would say maybe number one is how good are they with listening, with being an active listener. When you share, like, let's say you're friends, you're not even dating yet, you're still getting to know each other, and you're sharing about your life, you're sharing about whatever's going on with you. And if they're being an active listener, they're not interrupting you, they're not trying to get their point across, but they're genuinely curious about you, they're asking you questions, I would say that's a really good start. And then I think if there are things that come up that are uncomfortable and they're willing to talk about that, because I think the other thing to know is sometimes people think it's a bad thing. Like, oh no, there's something that came up. I think that the part that would be bad is if you're not able to talk about it, if the person is reluctant to talk about it, or you're not feeling safe to talk about it with them, then that's probably a bad sign. But yeah, somebody who you feel safe to communicate with, finding out what your communication styles are like and if they mesh well together, I would say that's probably the most important part of figuring out if you are actually going to take the next steps with this person or not, if you are going to commit to a relationship. There's so much to know about communication, and I'm still learning. My boyfriend's still learning. We are just navigating this together, and as we know, this is a process. You never get to the point where you just are always perfect at communication or perfect at anything, really. I think it's everything is a process. So it's good to just enjoy it and know that every time you step into this kind of uncomfortable place with your partner, you both are growing, whether that's spiritually or you're just learning more about who each other is, then you're on track. There's nothing more you need to do. You are exactly in the right place you need to be. And relationships are going to help you learn so much more about yourself and possible limitations you might have and how to overcome certain challenges that you may have been wanting to work on for a long time, like me with the jealousy. This has been the perfect opportunity to work through it with my partner. So again, I hope that this video helped you with the topic of communication. I would love to hear in the comments if you yourself have started a new relationship, or maybe you've been in a relationship for a while and you are building stronger communication with your partner. I would love to hear about your experience, so you can drop me a comment. Otherwise, I hope you all are having a gorgeous day, and I'll see you next time.